Can everybody hear me okay? Let me get a sound check real quick. If you guys can just chime in on the chat and let me know how I sound. If the sound is good, I'm going to make some adjustments here before we get into it. And kind of cover exactly what we got going on. Hope everyone's having a great night. Everyone's safe tonight. So just let me know once you get a chance if you can hear me okay in the chat, and we'll get rolling here. Everybody's saying it sounds good, sounds great. No one says I look good. That's normal. Kind of an ugly guy, I guess. All right. So I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We are on episode 12. So 12 weeks in a row that we've been doing this, and it's been great so far. Had a lot of fun doing it. We're going to continue to do it. As you can see, we've kind of improved our settings here and making sure you guys can hear us better. We're going to keep improving that as well. It takes your support to go ahead and do that. And that's what the hats are kind of a big part of too. I know you guys have been after me for these hats because I wear them on the show and we don't have them available on the website. So we've made them available to you. And we're going to explain to you in a little bit here how you can get your hands on one. It's not going to be something you can find on our website, so you got to listen to the instructions. So, before we get going, Powered by the Hour Performance is a Coyote swap. I guess that's what we specialize in. That's what I want to say. It's what we specialize in: Coyote swaps, Coyote powertrains, even the Voodoo and the Boss 302, even GT500 as well. If you have any questions about anything we cover on the show, or you have a project you're thinking about putting these engines into and need some components to make it happen, feel free to reach out to us. Our email here in general email is info@pbhperformance.com. We have a website, pbhperformance.com. You can see our hashtag here on the screen, hashtag PBH Equipped. If you search that, you'll see a lot of our products across all the social media boards and Google searches. We have been in business since, I think we're going on 12, 13, 15 years now, I believe. I've been with the company going on 10 years now. We all have a background in Ford, whether it be from the dealership days or something else. So you can rest assured if you give us a call, email us. If you need to get a hold of anybody, you're going to be talking to somebody who's well-versed in our product lineup and can help you with it. We have some new people coming on board, too, that's only going to bolster that a little bit further. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that now. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our live broadcasts, any of our new videos that we're coming out with. And we're going to have a lot more content coming out. We're going to have some new videos I'm working on as well and some generic stuff. But we offer more than just Powered by the Hour Performance. If you look at the shirt I'm wearing today, Jim Browning from Ultimate Headers is one of the brands that we carry. They do a lot of custom exhausts, long tubes, even mid-pipes, low-profile collectors, a lot of different finishes and so forth. So if you guys are looking for a Coyote Swap specific header, we do have some listed on our website. If you got some wild and crazy combination, call them directly and they should be able to help you out. You may have to send a car to them, they may send you some pieces out to try to test fit and tack into place, but they are open to doing that stuff. We also carry other exhaust manufacturers as well, but none of them sent me a t-shirt this week. So Ultimate Headers, not a bad option. Another guy we wanted to mention, and I'm wearing his hat, is Gumby Saunders, Texas Speed Lab Performance. He sent me this cool hat to wear on the show tonight, and Gumby is a PBH Performance dealer. He is pumping out Coyote swaps like crazy in Sour Lake, Texas. If you are in striking range or want to make the drive, the guy knows what he's doing, and he's actually helping us develop some new components as well. So he's a good source for information if you have questions, especially on the F100s, even the newer stuff, the 96 stuff, he's done them. So he has a lot of information on that. We talk about it all the time, and he does some really nice work. So if you need somebody to do an installation, amongst all of our dealers, Gumby is a really good source for that kind of work. You can do it from front to back, basically, back to front. So he's a good guy to know and know that he exists. F-150, S550, thank you, man, for the support as well. So you already hopped into the super chat. If you guys have questions throughout the show, I'm going to be kind of going on for about 10-20 minutes on the topic of tonight's show. After that, I'm going to be looking at the chat and the super chat to go ahead and answer some questions and get to what you guys are speaking about in there. If I lose you in there, the best way, if you got an answer that has to be answered like right now, Put it in the super chat, whether it's $1, $2, $5, whatever you want to give. It'll come up there, and I answer those questions immediately or as soon as possible. So that's one way to get your stuff across. And if we don't get through to us here, you can post a question on the video afterwards once it posts to YouTube, and you can email us, info@pbhperformance.com. You can also call us, 561-737-2331. Our website is pbhperformance.com. You can find us on Facebook and on Instagram. We have a newsletter. You can come see us. We have a showroom. I mean, we're not hiding, I guess, is what we're getting at. So we'll start. Topic for tonight. Let's say hi to some people. I see Gumby hopped in there. Gumby, thanks for joining us. I know Caleb from Foxcast. I talked to him last night. He's going to be hopping in there. Modular Fox Body, which is Ryan Merrill. Let's see here. He's mentioned what, the ice? Yeah, sparkling ice. Good product. 0 sugar, no carbohydrates, caffeine, and it tastes good. I'm on a diet, so I got to watch those things. Root beer's in the house. Another regular Wild Horse Garage is with us as well. Doug with the name that we never know if we got it right. Fidelki, Fiddledike. I'm always butchering his name, but he's a good customer of ours. Thanks for joining us as well. Parker is here. Parker Go Lightly, the guy I stole the hood from, he is here. 2000 MCR, liking the hat. Gumby has him on his website. I believe he sells them as well if you are so inclined. And we're going to be talking about our hats, PBH hats. It's been the topic of just about every video we've done that has a live chat. If you look over my right shoulder, they are proudly on display on the shelf behind me. You can see there's 2 flavors, gray and black. Each hat has the PBH embroidery, just like the way I wear it. I got a high definition version of it here, so you can see exactly what the embroidery looks like. This one's for my wife. She loves these things. But yeah, they're just a Richardson 112 hat. All black or all gray. Pick them. If you guys are interested in getting one, they're not on our website, so you're going to have to email me directly, frank@pbhperformance.com. I will send you a PayPal link to go ahead and send the money. The hats are $25 shipped. They're going to come USPS most likely. So if you're in the States, no problem. If you're out of the country, just let me know. Make sure you include your shipping address when you hit me up, and your email address or your PayPal. And that way you can do the transaction, get the money in here, so we can get the hat shipped out to you and so forth. This is the first batch of them, so it's kind of ground level stuff. They're not special edition or anything like that. We may change the design down the road, may make something special, or even PBH Live specific or Coyote Swap specific. If you guys have suggestions on that, we'll entertain them as well. It's just part of our swag in particular right now. So feel free to email me and let me know if you want a hat, and I'll send you the PayPal link, and we'll get it out to you so that you can get your hat in particular. The email is frank@pbhperformance.com. Bobby Lutz chiming in, just saying hi. Thank you, Bobby. Thanks for joining us tonight. Yes, Mark Warren, I did say hats. The hats, I guess, are appreciated. It's humbling to me that you guys want them, because it's always nice to see people supporting us as a company, and they do it so through their products and their builds, and now they're doing it through what they wear on their head when they go out and kind of represent us at their local car shows and bars and cruise nights and in their shops and so forth. So it's very humbling to see it and do it. I'm glad you guys are willing to pay for them. That's even better, and we'll keep trying to expand it. And so forth. Root Beer is asking for a grabber blue hat. I don't have one. They're all gray and they're black. Gray, black. But order a hat, and if I can get it done, I'll send it to you. Just put it in the email, and I'll see what I can do. I don't want to disappoint anybody. I'll try to get as close as possible to it. So, Gumby, I got yours on the way, man. Don't worry about that stuff. Red and gold. I mean, okay. So now we're just doing custom hats for everybody. I tried to do that. None of these hat on-demand websites can do hats the way we want them. The PBH off to the side apparently is the hardest thing to do in those settings, so I can't do it. And that would have been the easiest way to make sure that you were getting a really nice hat to your liking and so forth. So they're just going to be gray and black for now until there's a consistent want for a certain color, or we'll do some special edition stuff to maybe get some more colors in the mix. So, all right. So let's actually, yes, Nathan Smith, actually, before I get going, the banner you see in the background is on our website. You can buy that right from our website. It'll ship right to you, buddy. If you want to get one of those, feel free to do that. We sometimes include them on some of the bigger orders because we can fit them on a pallet and stuff like that. Someone's getting the superchargers and engine and all that stuff. But if you want to buy just the banner, want to hang it in your garage, feel free to hop on our website, pick it up. We do have them in stock. So, okay. Let's talk about Coyote Swap skill level. Now, this is a topic that we kind of talk about here in the office in between emails and phone calls because we do get some doozies, man. A lot of guys that are doing these swaps know exactly what they're doing. It's probably not the first swap they've done. They've probably swapped other vehicles in their past. They're master mechanics. All that stuff's great. Most likely, this doesn't apply to you. To the guys that are DIYers that aren't necessarily career mechanics, they're guys like me, skill level moderate at best, aren't maybe welders and aren't master mechanic and fabricators and don't understand everything that goes into the build. Maybe they've never played with AN lines and cutting radiator hoses and wiring relays and stuff like that. Those are the guys that I really want to kind of get through to and talk to a little bit, because I don't want you to give up. I don't want you to think this isn't something you can do. If you have limitations in your skill set, all you have to do is identify them ahead of time and work them into your budget. Me, myself, I don't know how to weld, so I can't tackle doing an exhaust system. I'm not going to go out and buy a welder, even if it's a cheap one from Harbor Freight, and then do a bad job unless I just want to learn. There's a way to learn, and you can do that separately. Don't do it on your finished project if you can wait. Budget for things that you don't know how to do. A lot of guys ask us about wiring. Hey, I got an engine in a car. I can do all that stuff, but I'm not good with wiring. We're going to talk a little bit about what you really need to do when it comes to wiring, and then the kind of projects that go beyond that. So stay tuned here as we work through this. If you're performing a Coyote swap, you're doing it yourself, you have to at least have basic automotive knowledge. You got to know what you're looking at and what you're looking to do. And I'll preface that with something as well. If you don't know what you're looking at, if something doesn't make sense, you got to have the foresight and the gall, basically, to ask questions. Come onto shows like ours. Send emails. Get involved in Facebook groups. Go to local cruise nights. Ask the guy a bunch of questions. Be nice about it. Don't demand information. Be nice. Be cordial, and try to get people to help you. There's a lot of support out there. There's a lot of groups out there. I know the guys in the Coyote Swap Fox Body group probably better than any of the other groups I'm involved in, and they're all nice guys. No one's out there to kill you and to hurt you. Yeah, there's some smart asses in there. That's fine, but you can just ignore those guys and get to the good guys that can help you with the stuff. But you have to ask the right questions. Open-ended questions like, I got a wiring kit, what do I do? Well, first thing you want to do is try a little harder and try to get into some specifics that you're stuck on. If you don't know how to ask the question, then most likely you haven't done enough research yet. Because open-ended questions like that they're not going to get you real answers. You're going to get even more lost in it. So I know the struggle I have, even with our website, is trying to find the right plugins for it, because I don't know the nomenclature that's used in the tech world as it relates to our website and the framework of it. And the same thing goes to Coyote Swaps. You almost need to know the Coyote Swap dictionary and what products and what companies we're talking about. Someone will say PBH. You don't know that's Power by the Hour Performance. But if you read enough threads and dedicate yourself to it, you'll figure it out. But you have to be open to learning. It's not going to be handed to you. There's a lot of really cool parts. We make a lot of really cool parts, but they're not exactly plug and play. You're still going to have to install it and do it. You're still going to have to figure out how to pull an engine out. When are you supposed to put coolant in it? What cooling fan am I using? What's a cooling fan? Where is your skill level? You need to identify that yourself. That way you can approach the project properly. That way you're not stuck somewhere or frustrated and you're giving up on it. You're driving your family crazy. Your kids haven't seen you for weeks, that kind of stuff. So keep that in mind. Plan ahead as much as you can. We're not all very, very organized. I'm not the most organized person in the world, but you really have to lay down exactly what it is, what it's going to take to get the job done, and what products are going to be needed to get it done properly. And where you're going to find that information is in your research, calling us, emailing us, letting us know what you're doing. Don't just spend your money kind of wildly out there. It's not a good plan. I know there's a lot of stuff to buy. We've definitely dealt with those customers that have 3 pallets of stuff in their garage. They've been buying parts for 4 years, and now they're getting ready to do the job, and all those products are kind of obsolete, or maybe you're doing it an old school way, and it's kind of disheartening because you're spending all your time and your money and your effort into this. You want it to make sure it's the best as possible. You don't want to shortchange it by, doing it the old school way because you just started buying stuff and making stuff work because you just bought it. So Ryan Merrill popping in. Thanks for the support over my entire build. You're welcome, buddy. Your car's coming along quite nicely. I wish you were closer to us so we can meet up. Maybe we'll see you at Mustang Week, Foxtoberfest, Holly for Intergalactic Ford Festival or something like that, so we can meet up, maybe have a beer, a low carb beer like a Michelob Ultra or something like that. So going back to what we're talking about, we never give up on our customers. It takes a lot for us to fire a customer. We have done it because there's just situations that end up being that. We can't make everybody happy, but we always try to stick to the issue you're having and try to teach you as much as possible, whether it's via email, phone call, any of that stuff, or even here online. But the one thing that is a little disheartening sometimes is that people will come to us first instead of doing their research. And depending on the question, it could be kind of like, all right, man, you're asking me how to put an eyelet on the end of a wire. Like, that's something you have to have in your toolbox in your school set, your skill set before you get started. You're not asking us for that. Our tech help is going to be more as far as color wires and where things go and how to write your fuel system and so forth. If you've never worked with AN fittings, AN lines, that's something you're going to have to mess with your Coyote swap. When you're Coyote swapping a vehicle, you're touching every single functioning system of the powertrain on that vehicle. I don't care what car you're swapping. Even if you're modifying a stock car, if you're playing with an S550, a newer Mustang, if you're going to do it successfully, you're going to have a certain point, depending on the level, an understanding of how all this stuff works. And research is your friend. Google is your friend. It could be your enemy sometimes, but Google is your friend. PBH is your friend. YouTube is your friend. Pick your sources, but make sure that you're at least attempting to figure out what you need to do ahead of time so that you're not stuck on the floor going, what's an AN fitting? How am I supposed to do this? I got a bunch of fittings on work. Where do I route the fuel lines? You should understand at that point that fuel lines, for example, shouldn't be anywhere near your exhaust or other electrical equipment. If it's a braided line, you don't want it being the ground on the engine because you forgot to put a ground from the block to the chassis, and your entire car is being grounded to the chassis through your braided stainless steel fuel line. The reason I even bring that up and smile about it is because I did it myself. I almost blew up my coupe in my parents' driveway with a fuel pressure gauge I put on the cowl. And as soon as I fired up, I had a bad ground, and the fuel line arced and started spitting fuel everywhere. So things happen. Don't be disheartened by them. Use them as learning experiences. I know it's not easy. And you may lose money and spend money twice, but if you learn from it, it's not a bad experience. But any Coyote swap, you got to have basic generic automotive knowledge on how systems work. How does a cooling system work? How does a fuel system work? What's a computer? How to butt connect wires together? How a relay works? How a fuse works? How to properly mount stuff. Self-tappers are cool. Tie straps are even cooler sometimes. But remember, you're building a car. Does Ford use tie straps? Yeah, and sometimes, but they're not mounting their fuse block with it. They're not duct taping their computer to the apron. So keep those things in mind as you're building. Think a few steps ahead as you're building. And if you have a question about it, I guarantee you, unless you're just wild and, and out of control in the way you present it, there's going to be guys out there that can help you. There's going to be guys out there willing to help you. And you have us. I mean, even if you didn't buy anything from us, I don't want to open us up to too much stuff, but ask us. I'm going to be there to answer the question. You can post it up here. You don't have to buy anything to get an answer from us. We would hope that our help would get your patronage down the line. But if you find yourself in a situation, we're not going to turn you away because you bought something from somebody else. We do that all day long with Ford Performance stuff. Ford Racing, they have a tech hotline. They have a lot of good guys up there, but sometimes they just don't have the answers. They don't get the repetitions we do or the insight we do from our customers and what we do. And guess what? They don't have the answer. They may refer you to us. Roush does the same thing. It happens. We try to work well with just about everybody in the industry as much as possible. And we work well with even people that are building that aren't even using our product in some cases. So ask. Renner 595959, he's been on the show. I think all of them, if not most of them. Keep the great videos coming, brother. Thank you very much in the super chat there. Blue 99, wow, man, thank you. What's up, Frank? Called the other day about engines. Thanks for all the help. Appreciate it. Some taco money for you, brother. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Like I mentioned before, I am on a diet, so tacos may not happen for a while. We'll see. I might cheat. On my cheat day, I'll use that money. How about that? That'll work perfectly. If not, I'll use it to buy more hats. But yes, guys. I mean, obviously there's going to be challenges in anything we do at this scale, and we're not saying that they can't be overcome. You know, all this stuff has been done. People have figured it out, and unless you're building an alien spaceship, there's guys out there. I mean, you may not know these guys. It's a very thin thread that I have between me and some of the best friends in my life. And the only thread between me and them is that we both own Mustangs. And then you kind of get to know them. So you never know who you're dealing with. You know, this guy could be the best man at your wedding 10 years from now, who's helping you figure out the wiring while your fuel pump is blowing the fuse. But you're not going to know that stuff, and you're not going to get those residual cool things in life out of them if you don't ask nicely, and present yourself properly. I know sometimes in text, in Facebook, in email, stuff just reads wrong, but just be mindful of that. And there are groups out there, there are companies like us that are there to help you. Ford Racing has a tech hotline. You know, they may not have every answer, but they're there. The blue oval is sitting there 5 days a week, waiting for your questions based on their product. If you go outside of their product, usually they don't want to give you a ton of tech. They'll probably point you back over to us, and then we're here to help you as well. So ask questions, do your research, Google, YouTube. If you're trying to figure out how to do this wiring kit, don't search it specifically. Just try to figure out how general automotive stuff works. Once you have that knowledge, it's going to be a lot easier to help you. And you're only helping yourself because you're learning. And this may not be the last vehicle you build. So all that stuff kind of goes with you in your skill set, in your toolbox as you move along. How to load a tune. What is tuning? When to tune it? Those things are questions that you need to ask and figure out and know so you can plan for your build. Again, you're touching every aspect of the powertrain to get this done. And you're only doing it. You may be doing it for monetary gain, that's fine. But most of us, I'd say 95% of the people doing Coyote swaps, they're doing it because they love that car and they want to build some cool shit. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yes, is it going to spend money? I've seen a lot of people say, hey, what do you need to do a Coyote swap skill-wise? Well, a fat wallet or a big credit card. Yeah, money's part of it. But it's going to be a lot more expensive if you don't do your homework and do your research first. So do that stuff. Ask questions. Don't be a pain. Take your time. Don't be in a rush. And I guarantee you, anything that you run into, there is a solution. It may take 50 emails to figure it out. And it could be as simple as, oh yeah, I forgot, I got a truck motor. Yeah, egg on your face, but guess what? If we know that stuff, we can figure it out. We can help you. So don't be discouraged in any way. If you're struggling with stuff and you gotta help, ask for help. That's the key. There's a community of people out there that'll help you. I guarantee you. Bondo Bird, so thankful for your alternator mount. Made life easy for me and it works great. Thank you very much. I think that I want to say Bondo Bird. That's a beautiful car. I saw the pictures you guys posted. I forget the shop name. Post it in the chat so I can give you a shout out, brother. It's on the tip of my tongue and I forgot it. So just post it up in there if you can. I'll see if I can grab it and give you a shout out so people can check out your Instagram. He's built some really cool. I think it was an F100 that was on Autopia LA, I believe, is that gentleman. So really cool builder. Really cool stuff he's putting out there. So yes, now I'll put it to you guys also in the chat. Post up, what are the challenges that you ran into in your build that kind of caught you off guard? Like, man, I thought I had this and I got to this point here and it kicked my ass and this is how I overcame it. If you could put that up there, it's probably going to help somebody else that's trying to do a build, and they may be able to find the answers right in the chat here and not have to do all this wild searching. And they might be listening tonight. Those kind of things, to me, I know on my build, the biggest thing that kicked my butt was wiring. I did not anticipate control pack wiring, even on my race car that doesn't have AC, doesn't have a bunch of lighting and stuff like that, to be as hard as I thought. So that's not you. Bondo Bird, that's not you. Okay. Well, there's a project, I think, called Bondo Bird, and I thought that was you. But if not, hey, what are you building? Post it up. Sorry about that. But anyway, on my build, oh, you're the Firebird. That's right. There's a, I think it's the Tiki Bird maybe, or the Tiki Bondo Bird or something like that out there. It's a Thunderbird that's being built. It's wild. My car, wiring for the control pack was an issue. It wasn't that it was bad or wrong, but I've never done it before. I had put a Mega Squirt in the car with a Windsor before, but that was a little bit more plug and play because you had an adapter that went to the stock computer, so it was only a few wire changes you had to do. When I got into doing the Coyote motor, I was plugging everything in, then I had to figure out where to mount everything. I had to take time to figure out how to get it through a firewall safely, protect the wires. Where was the fuse block going to be? Where I wanted the fuse block wasn't a great place because it bunched up the wires. What do I do with that? How am I going to ground it? How am I going to distribute ground properly to everything that needs to be grounded? Because I don't want to put a self-tapper every 3 inches on the firewall. I had to lay all the wiring out in the car. What I should have done was laid all the wiring out in the car and then hooked everything up and loomed it. I did that, and then I forgot about lights. I needed tail lights, I needed headlights, and corner lamps. So here was all this wire. It's all loomed up. It's beautiful. And I had to add another loom of wires on top of it. And in my car, it's a race car. Everything's exposed. So you can see it. So I got a bunch of straps and tie straps holding stuff down. It just doesn't look great. So let's see what a couple of questions here. Wild Horse Garage, he mentioned engine alignment. Lots of measuring and remeasuring. Got it done. Yes. Fox Body Mustangs, New Edge Mustangs, SN95s, even S197s, if you're putting a K-member in, you have to square the K-member. You have to make sure that the K-member is squaring the engine in the chassis. Now, the Maximum Motorsports instructions are excellent for that. If you look them up on their website for their K-member, they have great instructions on how to do the squaring of the K-member. Now, I know a lot of guys don't do it, but it's something you should at least try and spend the time to do it. You have to take a measurement from the front bolts and your rear lower control arm mounts. You hang plumb bobs. If you have a lift, the easiest way to do it, you hang plumb bobs and you mark them on the ground and you do a cross measurement. And that'll tell you how centered you are. You loosen up the bolts on the K-member and you shift it to where everything is correct. Take your time and you square the K-member properly. If your engine's too far out of alignment, it could cause issues with, drive shaft lining up, transmission, that kind of stuff. So keep that in mind. And in some cases, engine alignment, you may not be able to move it because of an aftermarket header or a K-member, something's colliding. So it's important to try to do that as early on as possible and then start packaging everything in the engine bay. So that's a good point. Modular Fox bought initially the Gen 2 F-150 engine with Gen 1 auto harness. Frank came up with a solution. Yes, we did. That was early on. Yeah, there's going to be stuff. Again, when you're getting close to that cutting edge, something may be updated. You may have to do your research and find a solution. The solution may not even be available. Like right now, we're dealing with Gen 3 10R80 F-150 powertrains, or Gen 3 F-150 in general with control packs. We're working on a solution. So if you try to figure out a solution on your own, 2 weeks later, you may find out an easier solution. It may not be something you go and do, but if there's any restrictions to what you're doing because you want to be the first one on the block, yeah, well, you just run that risk. You know, the cutting edge is sharp. Let's see here. I did electronics in the Air Force, and I still hate wiring. Yeah, I think there's probably a reason why there's only a few electrical companies in every town that do stuff like that or willing to take it on. I think there's a reason. I don't think it's fun for anybody unless you're manufacturing it. It's all cookie cutter on a board and you know exactly what to do. F-150, S550, my build was pretty dang simple. To be honest, like swapping the original motor, the tough part was having to work Monday through Friday to get back to it. Yeah, I feel you there, man. Working on it after hours, on your lunch break, on the weekends when you want to go out and have fun, missing events, trying to get the vehicle done, it sucks. But it pays off, obviously. When you get it done, you're happy and everything's good. Chris Slessman, drive-by-wire accelerator pedal install with using a hydraulic clutch conversion. That could have thrown you for a loop. Those hydraulic clutch conversions, I haven't done one myself. We sold a few of them. They look really cool when they're done, but obviously you're modifying something, so it could be a problem. They froze me. I didn't freeze, did I? Lucky Luciano, Turbo Banana, that's actually smart. Okay. You guys are talking about some stuff in there. Ryan Wright mentions, I thought the F-150 firing order could be changed in the tune after I swapped over to Mustang cams and timing components, found out that needed a Mustang engine harness as well. Lung got me straight. Good. See, yeah, your tuner. Custom tuning, depending on who you're working with, not all of them are as open to this as others. I know Lund Racing, they don't have a ton of time, but they deal with a lot of the same stuff we do. It's hard to tune a vehicle if it's not done. Today, I got an email from a guy saying, hey man, there's something wrong with the wiring harness I got from you. My truck doesn't run. I fire it up, it runs like shit, it turns off. I'm going, okay, well, there's a couple questions we can ask you right up front, but let's start. Send me some photos of your engine bay, let me see what you're working with. Have you loaded a tune to the computer? Have you messed with anything like that? No, I haven't loaded a tune yet. You got a custom cold air kit, so a custom tune could be a solution. But then I looked at it, and he pointed out he hadn't finished plumbing the PCV system. So he's got the passenger side hooked up to the PCV valve, exactly how it is from the factory, and the driver's side wide open. Well, that's a huge vacuum leak. And if you cap it off, that's not any better either. If you cap that off, you could actually blow out the rear main seal, because it's going to build up and not circulate, and then find a path of least resistance. It'll blow out whatever seal it can get through, any little hole. So make sure that when you're getting to those final steps, the parts that you're getting tuned for are installed. Everything's working. You can outline, hey, I need a base file just to get things rolling, but coolant should be in the engine. You know, the things should be done. You know, it's not always cookie cutter. The reason why the Lund Racing tuning package that we offer is as much as it is because they're offering, and they know they're going to have to data log your Coyote swap to make sure everything's right. And again, it's not something where you're demanding results. You're asking questions and trying to be, I guess, educated in it. You know, if you don't understand what's going on, give you some information that they see in their data logs. The data logging is a huge source of information. The data logs show you everything that's going on the computer. So if your O2 sensor is not working right, they could be switched. It could be a loose connection. They could not see it at all. It's not plugged in. Maybe you plugged in the wrong place. The extender is not working. You know, whatever. Hey, you got it all was used from a donor vehicle, and you thought it was good, and it's not. And that's why your vehicle is not running right. So tuning is your friend. Data logging is your friend. There are videos out there on how to decipher data logs. Watch them. Those data logs are yours to use. There's software you can buy to look through it. You don't have to rely 1,000% on the tuner for that kind of stuff. But if you've never looked at it before, you definitely want to do some research and make sure that that you're looking at the right things and making decisions, educated decisions when it comes to that as well. So definitely something to consider, and it's a good tool to have again in your skill set. Tuning, there's a lot of more systems out there right now where you can tune your vehicle yourself, and HP Tuners, for example, Holly has some stuff. If you're going to go down that road, make sure you have support if you've never done it before. If you're not a tuner, you don't have experience doing it, make sure there's support available, there's support groups available. Not that you're going to go crazy or anything like that, but that there's tech help for what you're doing, not just here's some software, good luck. Make sure there's some stuff out there that you can get your hands on and ask questions about to get your vehicle figured out. If you think that's going to be a problem, maybe control pack's more your speed. Then get things rolling, get a tuner to help you out with it, and go from there. So things to keep in mind. Let's see. Eric Copeland's got a big question here. Hi Frank, I have a 14 F-150 engine swapped in a truck using your body harness. It's misfiring, surging, and the only codes I'm getting are for the purge valve. When I clear them, it stops. Tuner says O2 trims are swinging wild. So most likely the evap code isn't going to be the source of your issue, because the evap system isn't even on the vehicle to trigger proper codes. You don't have the canister purge valve hooked up and all that stuff. The sensor itself, the purge valve up on the intake manifold, all that's doing is plugging a hole. That's why we have those evap block off plates that you can go to. So if the only thing you can check there would be to see if you have a vacuum leak. So run some brake clean around there, see if anything's causing an issue, and then if it's not, then that's not your problem. You don't have to worry about it. Now, if the O2 trims are swinging wild, you're seeing a fluctuation left to right, they should be trimming very close to each other as they trim, basically, as they switch back and forth. If you're seeing big fluctuations, one of the things we catch a lot is that the O2 sensors are plugged into the wrong banks in the wiring harness. Sometimes with extensions, sometimes with different O2 sensors, you could literally plug bank 1 into bank 2 and bank 2 into bank 1. Now, it's not the position on the exhaust we're worried about, it's the position in the wiring and as it applies to which bank it's on. It's looking for certain things. The engine should be doing certain things. It's reading them bank to bank, and if they're not doing it, it could start trying to basically compensate for error in signal. The other thing is something I ran into on my car is I had an O2 sensor go bad. It didn't shut off. It was trimming like crap. So the other one was trying to trim against it to equal things out. So I changed the sensor that was trimming bad, and it corrected itself. But the other sensor never corrected it. I had to change up both of them to fix the car, which was kind of weird to me. I'd never heard of that, but it happened on a Gen 1 Coyote swap Mustang that's been lights out since I built it. So that's something to look at as well. I would really look closely at the O2 wiring, make sure everything's plugged in the right place, Eric. The only other thing that can really do that is if you have a gross vacuum leak bank to bank. So one bank is consistently lean, so the other one's trying to add fuel to compensate and get the car to run right. So those are the things that could really lead to that. Also, make sure it's not like a single turbo system. Sometimes I got to shut off one O2 to get it to tune properly, and if they don't do that in the tune, it could cause an issue. Let's see here, Doug. Channel support. Thanks for any updates on the PMAS CAI, Doug. I have to check your order because I'm pretty sure we got all of our CAIs out, and we do have them in stock. So if you haven't received yours yet, I'm going to check on that for you. Let me make a note here, Doug. CAI Gen 1, because I had a discussion with our guys the other day, and we had the Gen 1 cold air kits. So if it hasn't gone out yet, I'll make sure it goes out tomorrow for you. If not, I'll get you an answer for sure and let you know. But thank you for the support. Thank you for being here, and I hope I didn't butcher your name too much early on in the show. Let's see here. Frank, how much for a built Gen 2 6R80 for a 16 Mustang roughly? Thanks for your Thanks, love your vids. That's from Mike Vasquez. Mike Vasquez. Mike. 6R80s in general are $3,200 for a built version. That's if you send us a transmission. If you don't have a transmission to send us, and you just want to get one out to you so you can put it in, there's a $1,500 core on top of that, so it's like $4,700. Now that includes freight to you. If it gets to you and you have a Mustang transmission to send back to me, and the transmission is in rebuildable condition, it's not grenaded inside, we'll give you the full $1,500 back. We don't cover shipping of the core back to us. That's something we can work with you on if you need us to get it, or you don't have the ability to get freight sent out from where you're at, or you've never done it before. We can even give you some guidance on how to get it packed up and how to get it written up for a freight shipment. But about $4,700 if you need a whole unit to start with. If you have a transmission and you got downtime to play with, you can pull it out, ship it to us. $3,200 gets you frictions and steels, billet intermediate shaft, a modified center support drum, all new seals, filter. Typically, you're going to get a new valve body as well, and then we'll check everything else that's factory to make sure it's healthy and do a performance installation to spec. If you need to upgrade it from there, got big power. We got billet forward planetaries. We got the 4R200 hub. We got the billet main shaft. We got the sprag in the back. All that stuff from Blue Streak, we got it in stock. So we can add that stuff as needed. All those options are going to vary based on what you're doing with the car and how much power you're making too. So Jason Freeberg, channel support. Thank you very much, Jason. We really appreciate it, man. It does make a difference. So thank you very much, guys. Let's see here. That was Mike. Let me move down. Vacuum leak on that surge problem. Yeah, most likely surge issues with O2 switching. You're probably going to have a vacuum leak. One of the tricky spots that we ran into with vacuum leaks was on injector O-rings, believe it or not. An injector O-ring has been proven to us through some of the work we've done can give you a vacuum leak without a fuel leak. So safely using your quick start spray cans and brake clean, you can do a test along those areas while the engine's running, watching your data log, your N gauge, your SCT, maybe having a buddy look at it inside the vehicle on a laptop or something like that, and see if it impacts the way it's reading. If it does, whatever area you just touched that caused it to maybe smooth out or run like shit for a quick second, that might be your source for an issue. Let's see, Root Beer. What are your thoughts on the upcoming Mach 1? Will they use the GT350 heads, cams, intake? Think they'll use the GT350 suspension or GT Performance Pack. Thinking about a 19 GT350, but we'll wait for more info. I haven't gotten too deep into the Mach 1 yet because we're in speculation stage. But based on some of the stuff that I've seen, them claiming 500 plus horsepower, I think you're going to get GT350 cams, intake, heads, maybe a different intake manifold, maybe something snazzier for the Mach 1. Remember, the Mach 1 is supposed to have that hood scoop, so maybe they'll throw that in at the last minute, and the intake has provisions for it. I kind of like that kind of stuff, nostalgia and so forth. One of the things that I would be interested to see, and it probably won't happen because of the late release of the GT500, is will they put a DCT behind that engine in a Mach 1? Because the DCT was slated to end up in the GT350 towards the last years of its run. And it is the ultimate track car, and that would make it even better. So is there going to be a DCT option in a Mach 1? Probably not an option. If they're going to do it, they're all going to have it. So we'll see as more spy footage comes out and so forth. If we're going to get a stick, if we're going to get a 10R80 option, you know, the 03, 04 Mach 1s were auto and manual options, so that was pretty cool because if you were drag racing it, you can get an auto option. If you were road racing it, you can have a manual. For street racing, you can get the manual. They made some changes based off of that. Ford has changed quite a bit since then, so I won't say that they're going to do that again specifically, but it would make sense for them, just like at the GT500, if they said, you know what, it's a performance car. A lot of guys are going to do different stuff with it. It gets the DCT. That way, we can give you the best performance numbers in the brochure. It has the latest tech, and we're delivering something that we promised on that we fell short on with the GT350, but we're going to give it to you in a Mach 1 packaging. As far as the suspension, I think it's probably going to be more of a budget performance car, so they may skimp out on the suspension. I don't know. We have that Magna ride in both the cars, the GT500, GT350. Will they pour it into the Mach 1? We'll see. Is the Mach 1 just going to be a rebadged GT350 with the latest tech and some different striping and grills and stuff? Maybe. But, Ford, I don't know. The Bronco went from being, a fire-breathing 800 horsepower monster to a V6 small truck. So, we'll see what actually comes out of the factory when they get the job won. But if you want to speculate, I think it's probably going to have performance pack suspension, really cool goodies from the GT350, and a cross-plane Coyote, because I know they can do that, to keep pricing and durability where they want it to be. And it's probably going to look really cool with Mach 1 gear all over it and different gauges and so forth. It would be nice if they had just a manual and an automatic option, 10R80, MT82. I'd rather see a DCT because it might be in my price range to get one of those cars with a DCT finally, but we'll see. DCT's Turbo Gumby, is there going to be a DCT swap harness coming from PBH? Nothing in the works right now, Gumby, because there hasn't been a whole lot of development on that front. At the same time, we're kind of waiting to see how all the GT500s work out, how many of these transmissions are going to blow up, get hurt, TSBs, how do they perform, how's the tuning working, are guys like London Racing figuring them out and knowing exactly what is needed to make them work, because that tuning support is going to play into how we then swap them, because we're going to probably be using stock computers. So can we use a stock computer to run a DCT? Do we need a GT500 computer in it? If it is a GT500 computer, they're really expensive. Will it work on a Gen 1? Will it work on a Gen 2? Will it work on a Gen 3? What do we have to do? There's a lot of questions to answer, so we'll see. Things are not bleak. I think it's going to happen at some point. There's even some aftermarket companies working on solutions for them. And Tremec themselves has said that they're going to come out with standalones to run these transmissions, because they're going to offer them by themselves. So you can put them behind anything. So we'll see. Hopefully it happens. Let's see here. Mark Warren, Frank, do you guys sell the 6R80 internal parts like clutches and billet stuff? I can build it, just need the parts. Absolutely. We have them on our website. You can call us. We can set you up with everything you need. Typically, we have everything in stock. I know our clutches got a little bit held up with asbestos during the whole COVID apocalypse. So that's the other thing, guys. A lot of stuff that was available, even though we were during the shutdown of COVID, a lot of suppliers have been shut down and they haven't been able to replenish. So control packs, I think, are one of those things that have been an issue for components and so forth. So keep that in mind as you're planning your builds. If something's on back order, most likely it's because it's been affected by COVID-19. And riots. Truck freight is taking a lot longer because these trucking hubs are near city centers for delivery and they can't get through. So these trucks are getting stuck, especially we're talking about from here to California, back over here, across the country. They could be running into multiple slowdowns as they're trying to deliver freight. So I know our 6R80 body harnesses, they were on back order. They came in today. We shipped out like 40 orders of body harnesses. They're on the way out there. It took an extra 3 days to get here because of traffic issues and hub accessibility due to the protests and some of the riots. So keep that in mind. Let's see here. I have Dakota Digital gauges with OBD2 module. The purchase OBD2 splitter so I can run gauges and N-gauge. N-gauge does not seem to read when using the splitter. Any way to make it work? Peyton, on that, what I would suggest is your gauges, your Dakota Digital stuff, it's fixed mounted in the vehicle. So what I would say, and the same way I have it set up in my own car, is the CAN bus wires that the Dakota Digital OBD2 or any OBD2 component uses are just the CAN positive, CAN negative. There's a ground and a power, right? Identify in the Dakota Digital connector which ones are what and cut the connector off cut it back, expose the wires, and wire them into the harness on the back side of the OBD2 connector. That way it's getting its signal. You're not going to cut the signal off, but I have seen where the splitters don't do this properly. But if you tap right into the wire directly, it'll work just fine. So you can do that by soldering it, using a butt connector. I don't really like Scotch locks, so try to get it wrapped around there and tightened up. And that way you get the signal, it gets its power, and you're working. Then on the front side, you're still going to have your OBD2 connector to use as a service port. Not a big fan of basically putting something permanent in there. So that way you have it working to the gauges. They're not going to be disrupted. And then when you're trying to do data logging, you don't lose your gauges or something like that. That way you still have access to the information that's coming out of the computer and be able to communicate with the PCM. So that's how I would do it. That's how I've explained to a few guys to do it, and it works. It works in my car. I have an AIM MXG from AIM Data Acquisition. And on my Gen 1 control pack, it may have been an early unit that was used for the race cars. It literally had coming out of the OBD2 connector, out of the back side, were two wires, blunt leads, can positive, can negative. All I did was hook the AIM to key power, and then wire its CAN bus input to those wires, set it to an 11 to 14 Mustang GT, and I had all my information, and my OBD2 plug is still used. I run an N gauge on it, I've used an STT on it, and it works perfectly. So that's what I would do. Let's see, Parker, who likes to call me Hood Thief. Frank, while talking 6R80s, what would you suggest internally for 800 to 900 horsepower? Parker, knowing your car, since it is a PD blower car, and you have some big nasty slicks that you may or may not use, I would do a level 1 build. Frictions and steels, billet intermediate shaft, our modified center support. Obviously build it to spec properly. I would add a billet planetary. I wouldn't say you're a great candidate for the 4R200. It's more of a track-only component. But the billet planetary we offer from Blue Streak is a great option there. That way it stays a 6R80. I would suggest that because the load that's created by a positive displacement blower and the shock of those big slicks at the track, it could shock enough to break a planetary. And if we don't do that planetary ahead of time and we roll the dice, if it blows up, it can wipe out an entire transmission internally. It'll spread metal, powder metal, it'll get on all sorts of surfaces, and you're going to be left without a good core to even rebuild. And you're going to have to replace your clutches and your steels and potentially your intermediate shaft if it gets, covered in material and smeared on it and fused with it and mar it up, whatever they want to call it. So I would consider doing that. The main shaft and the sprag, which is, I think, what some guys are mentioning as the sun gear or whatnot. I don't think you're a candidate necessarily for that. If you want to say, hey, get me all the best stuff, you can just do it all and hedge your bets. I don't think you're going to need it. In the cases we've seen that stuff break, it hasn't been at that power level, and you don't have a very heavy car. S197s, S550s are a lot heavier than the Fox bodies. So they're putting a lot more load with big power into those transmissions, causing those failures in particular. And I don't think you're straight up a candidate for that in particular. So that's what I would suggest. Billet planetary 4R200 on top of all the entry level upgrades that we know you definitely need, and install it properly, have somebody build it like us to make sure that you don't have any issues down the road. F-150, S550, how often does the sun gear fail in the 6R80? Not very often. I don't think that I've been told too many times that I've had that issue or it's consistently happening. You'll have to explain exactly which sun gear you're talking about. You might be talking about the sprag in the back of the transmission. That one I very rarely have seen break. I know Blue Streak makes one, and a lot of guys swear by it or maybe had that issue. I think it comes down to how you're launching your car, how hard you're launching your car, gearing, and how hard you're slamming it into gear. You can set up a 6R80 to bang gears hard, and it'll get down the track. It will break and stress everything that you build, even the upgraded shit. A heavy GT500 with a big Whipple and a nasty slick putting it on the bumper every time, they're going to break a factory main shaft. They're going to need an upgraded main shaft. That same power level in a Fox body may or may not have that problem. So it depends on the car. Parker, in your case, you probably don't need to go much further than a billet planetary. F-150, S550, in your case, I know it's a truck. It might be a little bit heavier depending on your usage. You're probably not going to have to get the Sprag. So, Root Beer. Speaking of CAN bus, is it possible to get the differential temp data off the CAN bus into a dedicated gauge? I can see it in 4Scan, but I'd rather be running Track Addict than a single gauge display. So you're seeing differential temperature, like the differential, like 8.8 rear end diff. If you're seeing that in your stock computer data, I'd like to see how, because you'd have to install that sensor. Now, there were sensors on differential temp when you had in your Gen 3 and Gen 2 Mustangs and the IRS cars and so forth. I think if you want to have that, it could be possible to do it. You're probably going to have to mount a factory sensor, factory connector, and pin it into your computer. Get it in. I wonder what harness that's going to be and how it's going to plug in. I have to do a little bit more research on that, bro, because I'm not sure if where it needs to plug into is straight up pins on the connector at the PCM where you can tie into, or if it's somewhere else in the body harness that you got to go to. That would be the question. That's a good one because it may be there. And I'm not sure if you're doing. Are you doing a Gen 3 or a Gen 2 control pack? That'd be the next question there. So, Turbo Gumby chimes in there. FYI, guys, on the exploding planetary, you can break the block at the same time. Ask me how I know. Yeah, we've seen that too, unfortunately. Drive shafts. If a drive shaft is not the right length, let's say it's too long, and you axle wrap or it makes contact and it puts force on the back of the transmission, not only can you break your drive shaft, you can break the transmission, you can crack the block, and all this on a dyno. Don't ask me how I know. Let's see here. Yes, Root Beer says, I can get the diff temp right now in the Android 4Scan app. It's Gen 2. So you're seeing the parameter. It's not accurate because you don't have a sensor in the 8.8, do you? I mean, typically not. I'm not sure. Root Beer, are you doing a Fox body or something like that? Explain that a little bit there too, so we can kind of clear it up for everybody if they're listening or maybe have a similar question. And it looks like Ryan Merrill has a question too. Do you have the Gen 1 PBH auto harness? Gen 1 PBH auto harness pinout on our website trying to add low speed fan. Now, I don't think, because there's some CAN bus control of that, Ryan, I don't know if you're going to be able to do that. I think you may have to trigger it independently. So we only supply the high speed fan trigger through the fuse block from the computer. I have not been able to figure out, or have I tried to set up independently which one's which, because typically the high speed fan gets turned on with either the higher temperature or AC, and we don't have the CAN bus for the AC. And I'd have to find out, man. Shoot me a message on that. I can probably dig a little deeper and see if there is a way to do it, if it's really a wire or not. Right now, we're trying to get our access back to our wiring diagrams. We lost our subscription, so I don't have it, immediate to us. So we got to check with Ford and see if that's possible or not. Let's see here. Root Beer. It's a 2017 GT Performance Pack, which comes with this. Oh yeah, okay. So you got a stock Mustang. So you're asking if you can get. let's see if I can find your original question. Your original question was, speaking of CAN bus, is it possible to get diff temperature data on the CAN bus into a dedicated gauge? I can see it in ForceScan, but I'd rather be running on Track Addict. Okay, so to be able to do that, you would have whatever gauge you're trying to use it on would have to have some sort of a sniffer to pluck that signal out of the CAN bus. So the same way it's being displayed on ForceScan through its CAN bus tie-in, or through an N gauge, or through any data logging, those signals are being plucked out through an algorithm that knows what they are in the CAN bus and the addresses. So to get it on a singular gauge, it would have to be built and programmed to pluck that one signal out of the CAN bus, out of all the other ones, and display it. So the only suggestion I may be able to give you there would be an N gauge, because it looks like a singular gauge. It has different gauge layouts, plugs into the OBD2, and you can set it up to pluck that signal out and use it for a gauge. And you can even set it up to the warning lamps. So if you wanted to say, hey, turn on the yellow bulb at 150, this bulb at 160, and so forth, so visually you can see it as an LED sweep and a digital number. That would be a way to go. I don't think, as of right now, I don't know of any company that has singular gauges that have a CAN bus sniffer that you can just toggle through and get one parameter on there. Aeroforce was something like that, where you can get certain inputs and so, or maybe two at a time. But that would be the one way I know you can do it right now is with an N gauge. And if you're trying to run the N gauge in the ForceScan, you're probably going to have to hardwire the N gauge or the ForceScan, because you can't typically splitting the CAN bus signal through an OBD2 splitter. Sometimes it can be problematic. Some guys say it isn't, but I have seen it be problematic from time to time. Let's see here. Do you know the difference? This is Slow Stang. Do you know the difference between stage 1 and stage 2 Ben Calamer? Or Ben Calamine? Well, the difference there, I would definitely hook up with Ben. I think he makes some changes in the way he's setting up the gearing, some upgraded parts. I know he's got a gear set now from G-Force. I'm not super well versed on the MT82s, so I would definitely reach out to Ben directly, or one of his vendors. I know VMP used to sell a ton of his transmissions. They may know as well, or we can reach out to you and find out. But we don't do a whole lot of MT82s. We don't sell them and so forth, so I don't know for sure. Let's see. Turbo Gumby, Gen 1 ECUs. Gen 1 ECU goes from low speed and then switches to high speed fan. It can't do a low and high at the same time. Gotcha. Let's see here. Race gas smells good. Do you have any clearance issues while tracking your car with the inch and 7/8 ARHs and the motor? Your T56 trans, frame rail, starter, etc. Any clearance issues, and which starter are you running? In my car, I'm running the 96 to 98 Mustang GT starter. Now, my ARH inch and 7/8, they were built on the car. They're not a production piece. The headers that are on my car were basically what they built the jigs off of. So I mandated there was as much room as possible for the starter to clear the Maximum Motorsports headers. I don't have any clearance issues to frame rails, to the bell housing. I don't have their X pipe. I have a Y pipe that's custom made. So I don't know how that fitment will play out in a sense, but it was designed with a T5 transmission in there, and then I switched to a TKO 600, and I didn't have to change any of my exhausts. I didn't have any additional clearance issues. So we were talking earlier about centering the K-member in the chassis. I would pay close attention to that and see if maybe where you have your K-member is shifted off to one side or the other that can induce that issue. I would try to square it in the body and see what that does for you on clearance, especially if you're having clearance issues on the outer edges of the headers as related to frame rails, cross members, and stuff like that. As far as fitment to the engine, I haven't seen any issues. I know sometimes when we install them, if you're using the factory studs, which is recommended with the factory nuts, you may have to cut the tip of the studs off a little bit, or they can hit the primaries, in close proximity to the cylinder head. Well, hey, Justin, thanks for tuning in, buddy. Yeah, I think you may, depending on where you're having contact, it may be something you can shift the cam member to fix. It could always be a production issue or the jig over time. Sometimes they change shape and they have to, recorrect some things and so forth. But nothing a little doink maybe can't fix doesn't really hurt them either. Justin mentions here, okay, thanks, still sorting out header issues. I have early cooks and had to modify a lot of things only to realize they're going to be too close to many things. According to Maxim Motorsports engineers. Okay. Well, I know the ARHs have been good there. Cooks has had a couple of updates. I don't think ARH has had to update much. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but I know the ARHs, as far as frequency of working, they've worked great. The ultimate headers have been great for UPRK members. They fit very nice too, and they also work. They have ultimate headers has a set of headers for Detroit Speed Alumaframe. They're like $3,000, and they fit. But that Alumaframe is like super tight in early Mustangs, so some magical stuff going on there. I'm gonna take another sip of my sparkling iced caffeine drink. It's excellent. So, I hope tonight's information made sense. If I missed anything, post it up. Maybe not in the chat, maybe after the video so more people can see it to potentially answer some questions. I'll be there to answer some of that stuff as well. I'm backed up on answering some of the comments on some of our other videos. I got to get to those tonight or tomorrow. It has been gangbusters here at PBH. We have got stuff shipping out like crazy every day, and we got a lot of calls, a lot of tech stuff going on right now too. And hopefully I'll be able to spend some time tomorrow to get the Detroit Speed GM Type 2 pump on my car so I can potentially take it to the Autocross Friday night to test it. Detroit Speed is coming out with some Coyote, or not necessarily Coyote, but Fox body related stuff. So take a look at that. I know Caleb from the Foxcast has some of it already, and they're starting to install it on one of their project cars. They got tubs, and they got through the floor subframe connectors now too, so it's pretty cool. And I think they're going to do a rear suspension and front suspension combination. It is baller stuff, like super baller stuff. So I'm interested to see what they come up with, because they are a name, a force to be reckoned with in the suspension industry, and they're not a typical Mustang-based only suspension company. So their outlook on how to, in a way, unscrew the Fox body suspension that's pretty much broken from the factory in some senses. I think it's going to be something revolutionary, hopefully. Maybe they come with something that's more like their Alumaframe that has an SLA front end and a hydroformed aluminum K-member, not tubular stuff. So we'll see. It may be out of everyone's price range, but that doesn't mean it's not something to entertain and look at and admire, or maybe potentially budget for and get. So we'll see what happens, man. So yeah, thank you, Parker, for being here. Thank you, Gumby, for being here. Thank you, Caleb, for being here. Root Beer, all these guys. You're my regulars. If you guys want a hat, again, email frank@pbhperformance.com. They're $25 each, including freight, continental U.S. And I'll send you the PayPal link to send the funds, and I'll get them shipped out for you and get you tracking and everything. That way you can have a hat like Frank does on the PBH Live. You can support us by wearing it, and which we absolutely appreciate. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do that now. Hit that notification bell. Make sure you don't miss anything that we come up with. We're seeing some questions come here in the chat. I actually got to get rolling tonight. I had to keep it close to an hour. I've already gone over that. So I'll try to get to those questions. If I don't, email us, frank@pbhperformance.com, info@pbhperformance.com. And we should have an announcement soon. We're adding a new member to our team, so that'll be part of the show. I might even have him on the show to kind of introduce him. Some of you guys may recognize him and know him, so we'll make that announcement as soon as we can and so forth. Again, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. We do post up stuff as regular as possible, and we like to highlight our customers' vehicles in social media. So if you're building something and it's finished, or you have something really cool of ours on there, use the hashtag PBH Equipped. we'll see it, search it, and repost it. That way you get some attention to your own channel, your own social media, and you may find out that other people have questions about what you're doing, and you can help them out with it. Guys, thank you again for tonight. Please be safe. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world right now. Be safe. Get your builds done. Have fun. If you have any questions, again, hit us up. Call us, 561-737-2331. Email info@pbhperformance.com. We'll be back here Wednesday night for episode 13. We're looking for suggestions on that. If you have any questions about tonight's content, make sure you post up a question in the video, and we'll try to catch up with everything that's going on in the chat. Thank you guys for everything. I've seen all the thank yous roll through. Really appreciate it, man. Gumby, thanks again for the hat. Jim, thanks for the shirt. Ultimate Headers. And if you guys want, if you have some apparel, something you want me to wear on the show, feel free to send it to me. I'll wear it and support whatever shops and so forth that are out there. So thank you guys. It's been a lot of fun, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Look for some more videos from PBH very soon. Have a good night, guys. Thank you.